चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं। हरिः ॐ। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। So in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, also known as the Yoga Shastra, we are studying the 4th chapter, in which we had completed verse number 8, which is on page number 73 of this small book. The discussion that Shri Krishna is having here with Arjuna, the idea that is being discussed here is the idea of incarnation, when consciousness, when awareness descends onto this level of existence. In my previous class, I talked about how each and every event in Krishna's life, each and every character in Krishna's life symbolizes, stands for a deep spiritual understanding. Its characters, the good characters, stand for various good tendencies that we find within ourselves as a person develops, evolves on the path of yoga. As these good tendencies are acquired, are developed, are evolved, the good characters in the story stand for those, and the negative characters, the daityas, the asuras, so to say, translated into English as demons, though the word asura, as I pointed out, does not really mean, I don't know what the word demon means, but asura simply means somebody who is engaged in the gratification of the senses alone, and because that is that person's only purpose of life, it doesn't matter for him how he acquires it, how he fulfills that gratification, whether it requires inflicting pain or suffering on others, directly or indirectly. That doesn't matter. He doesn't care. So asu means senses and ra means to enjoy, to gratify. So asura is a person whose sole purpose of life, he has no deeper purpose in his life, he has no transcendental purpose of evolving his human nature, but on the contrary, that constant effort of gratification of the senses, where the thirst becomes, the desire becomes only bigger with each gratification, with each fulfillment. The desire only becomes bigger and bigger, and there is no end to it unless some understanding is developed, some insight is developed, some deeper essence is sought for in one's life. Then it just keeps on increasing and there is no end to it. That is the problem that we have with greed. The earth bestows enough to fulfill everybody's need, but not enough to fulfill everybody's greed. So, someone who falls into the trap of that greed, selfish attachment, and hatred as a result of that, these three, according to the Bhagavad Gita, are the three internal doors to hell. In the 16th chapter, towards the end of the 16th chapter, Shri Krishna points out, Trividham narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha. These are the three doors. Kamaha, selfish attachment, in which there is not talking about love, just talking about selfish attachment, which is selfish in nature, where we love only for selfish purposes, for some self-gratification or sense gratification. Kamaha, krodha, anger, and lobha, greed. These three things. Tasmad etat trayam tyajet. Therefore, the practice of yoga is directed towards cleansing these three. Yoga is like a tree that fulfills any desire with which we come to it. If we have the desire of inner cleansing, if we have the desire of inner purification, with faith, with dedication, with devotion, we acquire it out of our practice. By practicing asana and then deepening it even further, a person acquires it in his life. So these vices, which are the cause of torment in this life, in our own life, and the torment we create in others' life, these vices, the purification of which is the goal of yoga, the burning of which, the burning away, the uprooting of which is the goal of yoga, these vices are symbolized, presented by the asura characters, by the demonic characters in Krishna's story. And it is in that sense that every character and every event that we see in Krishna's life does not stand for something that happened 5,500 years ago. Of what use is that if we know that Krishna killed Kamsa 5,500 years ago? Of what use it is for us today. So many people have been killed within these 5,500 years. That is, if we believe that Krishna was a historical character. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, because deep down what matters is the essence, the Krishna that is present in the present moment, and not the Krishna whether he was present 5,500 years ago or not. Often, just yesterday somebody sent me a question on my Facebook page. Do you really believe Krishna exists? Do you know that he exists? I say, I don't know. How should I know? I was not there 5,500 years ago. So I don't know whether he existed 5,500 years ago, but I know that he exists now. I know that. I know that if I work hard enough, then his existence can be detected within me. That is certain that I know. Whether these asuras, whether these vices, whether these asuras, these demons existed 5,500 years ago, and whether they were killed by Krishna back then, doesn't even matter. The fact that they exist within me, what they symbolize, what they stand for, the fact that they exist within me, and the fact that I want to get rid of them, the fact that I want to cleanse them, that is the important thing for me. So that is what Krishna symbolizes, and the whole story symbolizes the occurrences, the happenings that take place as a person moves out from the realm of darkness, the darkness of ignorance, into the realm of light, into the realm of awareness, into the realm of self-awareness, self-consciousness. What happens? What gets eradicated? The tendencies that get strengthened, the tendencies that get eradicated when a person follows this path described in the prayer of a pranopasaka, in the prayer of someone who meditates on prana in one of the Upanishads. Asatoma sadgamaya, O prana, lead me from the non-existent into that which is ultimately existent. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, O prana, lead me from the darkness of ignorance into the light of awareness, into the light of mindfulness, into the light of consciousness. Mrityorma amritam gamaya, lead me from this ever-changing reality in which names and forms are constantly being produced and dissolve, and hence this realm of death and creation. Lead me from this into the realm which transcends this continuous process of creation and cessation, but into the reality which underlies this change. Lead me into that. So this prayer that we find in the Upanishads of a pranopasaka, someone who meditates on prana, a sadhaka, a practitioner, somebody who performs yoga sadhana. And it is in that sense that Krishna Leela becomes meaningful to a yoga practitioner. Otherwise, it is of no use. Simply knowing that something like this happened, it's good for the religious people. They are happy with it. For them it is enough. For them it is even important, because somehow religion seems to get stuck in history. For it requires, for it to be authentic, it requires something to exist in time and space, and therefore everybody in the religious field is trying to prove that their masters existed for sure. Some doubt, the others, the religious ones, say, no, he existed. Christ existed. Muhammad existed. Krishna existed. Rama existed. But nobody is concerned whether they exist today or not. a sadhaka is concerned with this, because for him Krishna Leela becomes only meaningful in that sense. And I think it is this that Krishna is going to point out in this shloka that we are about to pronounce, because the word that he uses, my birth and my work, is divine. What does he mean by the word divine? Let us pronounce the shloka and then we will look what the word divine, because divine simply is a word. Divya, the cognate word in English, is divine, same root, div, which means light, the realm of light. But what does it really mean what does he mean by that when he speaks that my birth and my work is divine, is otherworldly, is heavenly? Let us pronounce the shloka first. It's on page number 73, the 9th shloka. Janma, 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 Karma, 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 Chame, 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 Divyam, Divyam, Evam, 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 Yo Vetti, Yo Vetti, Yo Vetti, Tattvataha, 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 Tyaktva, 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 Deham, 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 Punarjanma, 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 Naiti, 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 Mameti, 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 Sorjuna, 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 Janma karma cha me divyam, evam yo vetti tattvataha, tyaktva deham punarjanma, naiti mameti sorjuna. Janma, my birth, and karma, my work, my deeds, my actions, are divya. Divya, which has been translated here as divine. But what does that really mean? It is in this sense that when we see the birth of Krishna and his work not as something that has happened in the distant past. What is divine about that if it happened in the distant past? It was as natural as everything happening now, as material as everything happening now if it happened. But when I see it happening within me, existing within, when I see it as part of an inner journey, when I see it as part of the inner realm of light, when I see it happening not somewhere out there but in the space that lies within my heart, which a person enters in the state of meditation, when a person sees it happening there, that is where the word divya in the Upanishads has been used for. When the Upanishads use the word divya, they utter it in connection of Divya Brahmapura. The cell, the city, the room of consciousness, the divine room of consciousness, Yaha Sarvajyaha Sarvavit, Yasya Jnanamayam, Yasyaisha Mahima Bhuvi, Divye Brahmapure Hyesha Vyomni Atma Pratisthitaha. This self, this Atman, this self, this consciousness, this pure consciousness abides, pratishtitaha, abides, vyomni, in the inner space of the heart. When a person closes his eyes, the Upanishads speak of 3 types of spaces, and all the 3 are infinite. One is this space out here, the material space which we experience out here. The second one is the mental space, the space in which our thoughts, emotions, our ideas, our images, our memories come up. That is also infinite. The way this space out here is infinite. In fact, everything that exists out here, we perceive it in reality within. But we project it, our experience, we project it outside. And there are fascinating mechanisms how the mind creates this deception. If we study now consciousness psychology, when we study psychology and especially the consciousness aspect of it, the reality is that every experience that takes place in our life is a reflection of something that has happened in the past, even if it just follows the actual external occurrence with a few microseconds. But what we experience within has already happened out there. We become aware, we become conscious of it a little bit later. And it is for this reason, that our eyes can get easily deceived by illusions, because somehow our mind has developed this predictive capability that it predicts something on the basis of its past experiences. It predicts something just a microseconds before it happens, and we feel that we are actually experiencing it in the present moment. There is an interesting study, right? I posted it on my Facebook page. An interesting article yesterday or day before yesterday came out on BBC about illusions and why the eye actually can fall prey to these illusions, all these different types of illusions, and what it tells us about our awareness of the external world. It is really fascinating. If you get a chance, then look it up and read it through. It gives fascinating insight. So this mind, how perfect it is, nearly perfect it is in creating this deception that what lies, the experience that is happening within is being projected as if it is happening outside. And with that, also our labels, our outlook, our view, everything gets projected into the external world. That is the reason sometimes we only notice things with which we are preoccupied. As an artist, walking through the same street, an artist would see a very different world than a scientist would do, than a philosopher would do, because each one is preoccupied with a different aspect of reality, and hence his field of awareness is limited by that understanding, and he only sees that. Why? Because he's projecting without what is within him. So this space, this conceptual space within, in which can be as tumultuous as the external world. Cyclones can come within, tsunamis can come within. All that can exist within as well as it exists out there. That is the second space that the Upanishads speak of. That is also the equivalent of the space which we experience exclusively in our dream experience. In our dream experience, everything that we see are just impressions of the external world that play out in that internal space. And that is as much troublesome as the space out there, yet the amount of suffering is less as a person goes deep. Why? Because, for example, in dream we might be frightened, the emotion might come up, but in reality there is nothing to be frightened. Then the Upanishadic masters speak of a third type of space, which is that complete emptiness, which does not lie somewhere else, but it lies within this perceptual space from which each and every thought, each and every form arises. That perceptual space which consists of all these images, of all these thoughts, ideas, emotions, from where they arise, that nothingness, that emptiness, which a person experiences when the mind content is put completely at rest, which a person experiences either completely unconsciously in the state of deep sleep, or a person can experience the same with being fully aware, without becoming forgetful of one's essential nature, in the state of meditation, in which the mind is completely put to rest after the prana has become extremely peaceful, and because the mind follows the prana. So when after pranayama the prana has become completely subtle, very peaceful, there is no agitation in prana anymore, and the mind, which is completely bound to that prana, also becomes equally peaceful. Then that deep inner space, which is the same conceptual space minus the mind content, minus all the objective reality that keeps on coming up, springing up in this perceptual inner space, minus that, it is complete emptiness. It is the complete absence of everything, and that is the third ultimate space which the Upanishads speak of. And when they use the word infinite space for consciousness, the Upanishadic masters, they use this word for consciousness. Now, whether you call it consciousness, the source of awareness, whether you call it empty space, whether you call it shunya in Buddha's words, whatever we might call it, it doesn't matter. They are just labels. What we are concerned is about is that experience. So Krishna Leela unfolds in this perceptual inner space from which every behavior of our life, every known or unknown thought arises. The transformation that takes place, which has been symbolically enacted through Krishna Leela, that happens within. That is what happens within, and that is what Krishna Leela stands for. That is what Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's works stand for. It is in that sense that it is divya, that it is divine, that it is otherworldly. Otherworldly not in the sense that we are not denying it in the world out here, in the meaning that it would be somewhere out there in the deep space where we can't reach, but it is within us. In that sense it is otherworldly. In that sense it is heavenly. Because again, in the Vedic understanding, Bhur Bhuvaha Swaha, these three, the physical level of existence, the intermediate level of existence, and the heavenly level of existence, which initially we understand as existing out here, this earth, the intermediate space, and the realm of light. But ultimately, in the Vedic understanding, it has to be understood within, where the physical level of existence means this stands for this body. The intermediate level of existence is where the realm of consciousness and the material realm meet, where our limited awareness arises, with which we identify. And heaven stands, the Sanskrit word Dyauhu, the realm of light, or the Sanskrit word Swar, which means Swa, which means myself. That stands for that deep inner realm, the third level of awareness. So it is in that sense that the word Div stands for, and that which exists in Div, that which exists in heaven, in that inner heaven, that is called Divya, heavenly. And Krishna's Leela is like that. So Janma Karma Chame Divyam, my birth, how my birth is heavenly, we analyzed it earlier. Even though this reality is unborn, and yet being unborn, this great unborn self manifests itself. That is its birth. And then karma, its actions, these are divya, these are divine. Evam yo veti, someone who has experienced this, who knows this, who has understood this, who has understood all my works and my birth in tattvataha. Tattvataha is the word which gives a lot of weight to this understanding, because tattva means essential nature, not something superficial. If we look at Krishna's life as a historical event, it is extremely superficial. It is something momentary. There is no depth in it. But tattva means the essential nature. Tattva is the inner essence. Tattva madhyatmikam drishtva. When the Upanishadic masters use the word tattva, they use it in connection with the inner essence. So when a person has understood the work of Krishna and his birth as his own inner essence, evam yo vetti tattvataha, when he has understood it, tyaktva deham, when he leaves his body. Now leaving his body, whenever we hear this word, the first thing that comes into our mind is a person leaves his body and then punarjanma naiti, and then after that he is not born again. Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, sort of all these religions in India, Sikhism, seem to be obsessed with the idea of getting rid of this cycle of birth and death. All the teachings, it's a recurring idea that keeps on coming back in Krishna's teachings, in the Buddha's teachings, in the Upanishadic teachings, in the Sikhism teachings of Guru Granth Sahib. It keeps on coming back again and again, as if we are waiting for the moment of death, after which there is emancipation, and then there will be no rebirth again. We will not fall into this level of existence. But do the Upanishadic masters, at least when we look at it from the Upanishadic perspective, and this is my work, when I understand the Upanishads, like that is the reason I pronounce this prayer in the very beginning of every class, Sarvo Upanishado Gavaha, Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. All the Upanishads are like the cows, Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. Krishna, the cowherd is the caretaker of that cow who milks it, who does the milking. Partho Vatsaha. Arjuna is the calf which requires to be there so that the milk can come out. Every evening I go to take milk. The first thing that the cowherd, the milkman has to do is to free the calf so that it can drink a little bit of milk, pull it down, and then it is taken away, and then the milkman milks the cow. It is essential. An inspiration has to come from somewhere. In the case of Krishna, it came from the suffering of Arjuna, because he wanted to alleviate that suffering. So Partho Vatsaha, he is that calf, Sudhir Bhokta. Arjuna only drank of this milk a little bit, just for 1.5 hours, and after that it was over. He had to continue with his life and with his fight and with his journey. But we, the wise ones, we are capable of drinking it again and again. So it has been milked for us, Sudhihi, those who have a still mind, those who have a positive mind, those who have a good mind, good intellect, good understanding, Bhokta. They are the enjoyers. And Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat. Gita is the very essence, Gita is the very milk of all those Upanishads. So when we look at the Bhagavad Gita, we have to look at it in the light of the Upanishads. If a person fails to do that, then he might come up with beautiful religious doctrines and religious faith, but it won't be something that a practitioner of yoga, a sadhaka, can relate with in his life. So if it's about waiting till the moment of death, and after that this cycle of birth and death will be over, that's not the idea of the Upanishadic masters. When the Upanishadic masters speak of Tyaktva Deham, they speak of leaving this body. They mean shifting the awareness which completely identifies with this body, with the Annamaya Kosha, to shift it into the Pranamaya Kosha. Then from Pranamaya Kosha into the Manomaya Kosha. From Manomaya Kosha into the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And from the Vijnanamaya Kosha into the Anandamaya Kosha. And ultimately even from the Anandamaya Kosha, transcending even Anandamaya Kosha, transcending even the objective joy, objective peace that a person experiences in the deep states of meditation, completely rejecting even that, when a person reaches his own inner core. That is what is understood by Tyaktva Deham, by leaving the body. We meditate, asana is meditation on Annamaya Kosha. Asana is meditation on this layer that consists of the food that we eat, this material sheath, this material layer, this body. That is the first thing. We create awareness into it. We expand awareness so that we become aware, and only after we have become aware of it, we can draw back that awareness. How will a person draw back awareness if he is not even aware of it? So the whole idea of meditating on Annamaya Kosha, which is what asana is, which is what yoga postures are, is to expand the awareness first into every cell of this body, and then the capacity to pull it back, to draw it back. Because the more we become aware, the better we gain control over it. So that is, we find it in the Upanishads, in Kenopanishad, when the master speaks of leaving the body. It's neither an out-of-body experience that sometimes psychologists seem to try to make sense of. It is not even that. It is entering deep within this being, deep within oneself, where a person has completely distanced himself from the body, and therefore has shed this limited identity and has allowed this limited identity to expand into the universal identity in the state of meditation. That is what leaving the body, tyaktva deham, what leaving, because otherwise Krishna could have easily said after a person dies. He does not say that. He does not use the word mrityu, he does not use the word mrit, all these words which are used for death. He simply says after a person has left this body, punarjanma naiti. He is no more forced to come back. Nasa punaravartate, nasa punaravartate. Twice in the Upanishads the masters say, nasa punaravartate, nasa punaravartate. He does not come back onto this level of existence. He does not come back onto this level of existence. This has to do with the deeper states of meditation. When a person goes deeper within, he can come back as long as he wants, and it is usually because the inner bliss is so deep that there is no desire of coming back except the desire to impart the path, to tell others the path which the Master himself has followed. That is what that compassion, that love for the suffering being, at least for those who want to follow, for those who want to step into those steps and follow it, for them to alleviate how far a person can walk on that path. That is their own capacity, their own drive, their own inclination. In reality, every human being, the fact that we are a human being is enough that we can acquire what the Buddha acquired, what Christ acquired. We can acquire it because we were as human as they are. We can. But whether we have that drive, whether we have that strong desire, that's a different thing. But even a little bit of the beautiful thing is, again, which something that Krishna and the Upanishadic masters point out, even a few steps inward save us from a lot of suffering, from a lot of problems. This is what asana, yoga asana on a physical level is a very basic thing. Yet how much it transforms, how much it changes, how much it modifies our complete understanding. And the deeper we go, the deeper the transformation is. So punarjanma naiti mameti. He comes to me, he is united with me, mameti. He comes to me. When Krishna speaks of me, he speaks of that inner space. That inner space is what he is identifying with. The reason a person keeps on coming back into the external world from this inner world of peace and tranquility is unfulfilled desires. These keep on pulling us, our unfulfilled desires. Someone who has worked with his desires, someone who has seen through these desires, someone who realizes that the joy that I experience the momentary joy that I experience as a result of the fulfillment of a desire is not actually out there but is within me. And the ocean is within me, but that external experiences just brings out a few drops of bliss, a few drops of happiness from that ocean. If I would follow that happiness, that bliss in meditation and try to find its very source, then ananda dugdho dadhi madhyavarti, then he would realize that I'm actually swimming in the ocean of nectar, in the ocean of peace, in the ocean of inner joy. And what I have been content with, what I have been searching in my life, all my life, and what I've been constantly trying to find in my life were just a few drops of that inner happiness, of that inner peace, of that inner tranquility. So someone who has experienced this mameti saha, he comes to me, O Arjuna. This is what Krishna is saying in this shloka. Okay, now rather than continuing into the next shloka, any questions or any discussion, that any thoughts, any ideas?
Yeah, I have a thought. We've been talking now about this going in deep, the drops of the ocean. And it seems to me from what you were saying that on almost every level except that of the pure consciousness inside of us, we are just a bundle of memories. Just memories, right?
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say that out of the five senses, the two that affect us the most are the sight and touch.
In touch, okay.
So touching.
Yeah.
Touching as if, when, say you're with somebody, you have a relationship. All of that, the touching, the seeing, that really, it seeps deep down into the person on many, many levels, right?
Yes.
In the experiences.
Yes.
So if we are a bundle of memories, everything we experience outside of us becomes a memory, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a memory, which means it becomes something really a part of you, or we believe that it's a part of us, which is why I think it is so difficult to get rid of that, because it becomes a part of us.
Yeah, because
Let's say you talk of a relationship, which is the easiest thing to talk about. That becomes a part of you. When that relationship ends, you just want to rip it out of you. You want to rip that memory out of you.
Yeah.
Any bad experience or anything that happens that ends, it could be work, it could be love, it could be a death, it could be sickness. You want to rip the memory out of you because it becomes a part of you.
Start ripping pictures and burning pictures, but that is symbolically,
is somehow deep inside, and that's where it becomes difficult.
That's right.
One must see the outside world is not that type of an experience. It should not become a memory.
Yeah.
You have to go beyond the memory.
Yeah.
And that is difficult.
That is difficult. That is difficult, and this is about that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is exactly about that. This is about going into that which comes up as memory, on which memory is an imprint. Memory is just an imprint. On which memory is an imprint. It is about that. It is Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. I think it is Padma. Yes. You see, if you see Vishnu's statues or pictures, here you don't see it, but in Vishnu, in his forearms, he is shown as holding, in one of his arms, he is shown as holding a lotus. What does a lotus stand for? Vishnu symbolizes this infinite consciousness, that is the blue color, because blue color is, so to say, wherever there is infinity, we find this blue color. We cannot say that blue color is the color of infinity, but yes, where there is this infinite sky up there, we see it blue, infinite ocean is blue, so somehow that blue color is associated with infinity. That is the reason his complexion is blue. Then he has these four arms which seem so strange, so queer, and in these four arms he has these holding these four things. One is the discus, which symbolizes the mind, Shankha, the conch, which symbolizes the limited sense of ego, then Gada, which the mace which he holds in his hand, which symbolizes the faculty of understanding, the intellect, and the lotus which he holds in his hands. That symbolizes the heart, because heart always, the lotus always symbolizes the heart. Always. Wherever you see in Indian iconography, pictures, wherever you see a lotus always symbolizes the heart. And heart as the seat of all memories. What is called sometimes smriti, what is called chitta. We don't use the word smriti because smriti is momentary. What we are talking about is the complete reservoir of all the unconscious reflections, all the unconscious impressions that we have accumulated, which keep on coming up as memories. All that is what the heart stands for, and all that is what the lotus stands for, which is held in his hand by Vishnu to tell us, to symbolize that it is ultimately that pure infinite consciousness which is upholding this seat of memory. And if we can go deeper, one of the processes of meditation on Vishnu is about getting rid of these four. This is an objective technique, process of meditation, which you find in, for example, in Vishnu Purana, in the Purana which discusses Vishnu, which discusses the essence of Vishnu. So a person meditates on, first of all he meditates on this form, which we see in pictures, and then later on, as his focus deepens, he gets rid of all these external symbols, just Vishnu himself remains, slowly and slowly also the whole body, just his face, and then ultimately complete formless. That is the technique. So even in that technique, the second step is to get rid of that, so that a person can go deeper, and the understanding that we create there, we work with that within ourselves. And that can only be done in meditation. It happens when a person works with himself. It happens when a person faces himself, which can be initially tremendously frightening. Because entering your house will be a frightening experience if you have not taken care of your house. If there is a mess in your house, it will be a frightening experience. You will be happier out there than coming back in your home. Even though it is so soothing and so safe to be in there, if there is a mess at home, if you have just created a mess, if there is no order, if you have not, and for that, a person has to spend time at home. He has to put everything in order. He has to deal with everything. This is what we have to do, housekeeping with our mind. And if we don't do it, then we are frightened. We fear entering us. We have traumatic experiences in meditation, which happens because all these traumatic, we want to forget them. We want to remain forgetful in the external world. We want to be engrossed with films, with drugs, with drinking, just so that I don't have to think what is within me. I just don't have to deal with what is within me. You cannot get rid of it. You have to work. You have to work with it. You have to face it. You have to spend time with yourself. And that is what yoga is about. It is yoga. Are we studying the Bhagavad Gita? Are we spending time with this book? Of what use is this book? Of no use. But it gives us the capacity. It inspires within us this. It creates this environment in which we spend time with ourselves. When we are not spending time with anybody else, it seems you are spending time with me, I'm spending time with you. From somebody looking outside, yes, they are spending time with each other. But are we really spending time? Are you even the least concerned about what I am, or am I, sorry to say, I'm least concerned of what everybody else is doing in here, yet we are together. Because within us, if you would follow me, what I'm speaking about, what I feel, what I experience within myself, and if you would follow me, the same thing would happen with you. That will take you not inside me, not inside the Bhagavad Gita, not inside Krishna, but inside yourself. And if that has happened, then my purpose is fulfilled. Otherwise it is useless.
That connects with what you were talking about yesterday about yoga. And we were talking in the Upanishads class about going in and not just taking yoga as a superficial thing where, let's say you wake up one morning, you get angry at somebody, with your husband, your wife, your children, your work, somebody on the street, and you get angry. You say, okay, I'm a yogi. I can't get angry, can't show it. I'm going to the yoga shala and do 100 Surya Namaskars. Then you finish, oh God, I feel so good. But that's so superficial.
That's
then the
very
next morning you're going to get angry at somebody else or get upset, and then what do? Oh, let's do this other asana. And it's never over. So then at that point, what happens? Yoga asanas become just another drug.
Yes.
You're just taking drugs.
Yes. That is what religion becomes. That is why Karl Marx, I think it was Marx.
You could change your mind state. You could study it scientifically and say, okay, the dopamine, the adrenaline, all of that is happening. But you're not going deeper. You're just taking another drug so that you feel better and you don't look at yourself. And then you're going to get angry again and get anxious again, and all of you feel sorrowful and cry and get all upset because, you use it as you just use it as a vice for that brief moment in time and say, okay, the yoga asana made me feel good. But then you have to go deeper, otherwise what are we doing here? No.
That is what it's all about. Yeah. Then it just becomes... Everything, even this can become just a drug.
Yeah.
This discussion also can just become a drug. Even meditation can just become a drug. Yet it would be a better drug. It would be a far better drug than any other. Yeah, because. Sorry. By entering within. By entering within. By practicing, practice. It already happens when we do yoga asana. We are actually entering within. Because we are in our asana practice, what she's speaking about is using it as a distraction, but it can also be used as tool. It is the only tool we have to enter within, to be with ourselves on a very physical level, the very first tool. And as a person deepens one's practice
This is his question.
from pranayama, by stilling the prana, and with that, by stilling the mind. That is what depth means.
So, but there is memory, as we said now, we should go beyond memory, we should forget. So, but there is also a good memory.
You see,
Which,
they are unnecessary. Why to have them? When the source of that memory is so beautiful, then, because till you are on the level of memory, then there will be always some good memories and some bad memories, depending on the action a person has done in his life. You see, if he has performed more good deeds, there will be more good memories. If he has performed more bad deeds, there will be more bad memories. And on this level, both are there. Both will always be there. Some good ones will be there, some bad ones will be there. Ultimately, to go deeper, a person has to detach himself also from good memories.
And I believe in experience in everybody's life. If you look at our own lives, many times what you think is a bad experience and hence bad memory, years later you look back and say, God, thank God that thing happened to me. And it turns into something good. Or you think something good happened to you. You win the lottery. You say, hey, what a great day, what a great memory. And then because of all that money, your life is ruined.
Your life is
ruined. So then it becomes a bad memory.
Then it becomes
so
a bad memory.
So where's the line between the good and the bad memory?
Exactly. It's just the way we look, we react to it.
Millions of lifetimes to really know.
Yeah.
So it has to go beyond somehow.
Yeah. It has to go beyond. One has to transcendental.
Yoga class. I'm giving an instruction, which should be a memory,
Right?
for to go deeper.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are forgetting.
The memory is in the brain. Oh, it's so difficult. But
That's a good memory.
But maybe years later we think, my gosh, you told us that. What a beautiful thing, and then it becomes.
That is because we were not interested enough. That's a different problem. That is because we were not interested enough. The moment somebody tells, hey, you fool, this is something that I'm never ever going to forget. That is how good my memory is. But if somebody tells me an instruction, I forget it. Because the mind retains what it had recorded with uttermost interest.
Yeah.
That is how strong it records it. If the interest level is low, then the impression will also be very shallow and will forget. But if the interest level is deep, the deeper it goes, the deeper the interest level is, the deeper our memory of that.
Some yoga asanas will help. It helps to dig down.
Yeah. That is always the idea, Good memories help us to overcome bad memories, but then eventually it's like a soap. Soap helps us to get rid of the dirt, and then eventually one also has to get rid of soap itself. Or fire burns away all the logs, and then eventually also becomes peaceful itself. This is the idea of charama vritti, the last modification of the mind, which puts all modifications of the mind to rest, and itself also goes to rest. The whole idea of charama vritti, which asampradyat samadhi, samskara. Otherwise, the question always comes, yoga also develops samskaras. We are getting rid of samskaras by creating new samskaras, then what have we gained? What have we gained? The journey continues. But that final samskara, the final yogaja samskara, of which the masters speak of, it removes all other samskaras. Why do we strengthen one samskara while practicing yoga asana? So that other samskaras can be weakened. By practicing focus on one aspect, we weaken other samskaras by allowing this to strengthen. So by taking hold of this, we are transcending that. And once we have got hold of this step, then to go beyond it, one has to leave that as well. So in the whole journey of yoga, all these things, these are just tools which we use, and at some point each one of these tools has to be thrown away, has to be, or at wish, if somebody wants to come back and use that tool like Guruji does, use his props, fine. But then with understanding, not being dependent on it.
But but that is, it's a later stage.
Later state.
Because you can't say, like many yoga students, they say, oh, you have to forget your body.
No,
You know?
no.
But that's not like that. You have to know first each and
Exactly,
every
that is what I said.
to forget the body. You
Yes.
can't just, like in Shavasana, lie down, forget your body. No. So you have to put each and everything you have to put in order again and again, till you can really forget the body, till it just happens,
Creating awareness on a physical level is stepping with our awareness from the external world into the physical body. And unless we have not fully, what we call forgetting our body is just falling back into the external world.
That's laziness.
Yes, it's just laziness. It's just falling back into the external world. There will be no internal transition. Unless a person has become completely stable and still on the Annamaya kosha level with his awareness, and from there he steps deeper within. So, Yeah.
Even if you've come to any type of awareness of what could be, then you look at your body even in a different way. You want to take care of it so well to keep the prana as healthy as possible.
Yes.
So that in this one lifetime you can evolve as far as possible. Isn't that it? Because it's carrying the self in there. So if you've understood that there is a self,
Yeah.
you want to live this life long enough, 100 years, so that you can reach, you can go as far as possible.
Yeah.
What's the point of destroying the body? If you
No,
focus
no,
on
no,
that
no, no,
awareness,
no,
then
no,
it just
not
destroys
at all,
something.
not
Then
at
you're
all.
not aware of anything.
Yes, no, not at all. The whole,
Of course, it's a temple. Keep it wonderful. And the prana, keep it as alive and pure as possible.
Kabir Das ji, I think really the greatest mystic of the medieval times, who has this amazing capacity to nail it down in his sentences, what he wants to say, really nail it down. When he speaks of, first of all, the creation of this chadar, of this cloth with which we cover ourselves, this body. First of all, he speaks of it. And then he says, I'm a worthy borrower of this cloth if I give it back exactly in the same way as I took it from its original owner. Jyon ki tyon, as I took it, tyon, like that, exactly like that, rakh dini chadariya, I put it back, I lie it down and give it back to the universe. So the whole idea of Pandityam Nirvidya, after acquiring all this scholarship, Balyena Tishtase, the person should become like a child. The whole idea with that childlike like lack of rigidity where there is no, because a child on his physical level, on his mental level, on every level is just perfect the way it was created by the universe. And to reach the same perfection on the physical level, on the mental level, and on the pranic level, that is the whole goal of a yogi. So yes, but this is not, again, it could be easily misunderstood by someone, oh, you are promoting body culture, which often people accuse yoga of, particularly the religious people. They accuse yoga of promoting a body culture. When you read the accusations of the different, even, I'm not saying about other religions, I'm saying even within Hinduism, the practice of yoga is sometimes accused as promoting a body culture. It's just our misunderstanding. If the approach is correct, then it's not a body culture. Then it's just taking care of the tool, not negating it, not rejecting it, but refining it, making it complete, proper, perfect, so that the reality can be experienced. That is the work of this tool. So we are not taking care of the tool for tool's sake. If that is the purpose, then it is a body culture. But if the purpose is deeper than that, if the purpose is the experience of consciousness, then there is nothing like body culture.
Question.
Yes.
Emptiness. It's like a coin. They have two sides. One side is emptiness. Other side is everything.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes. That is how it is. Everything constantly keeps on coming out of that emptiness. That emptiness which seems so empty, which seems like nothing. Not only everything comes out of it, but everything constantly has to come out of it. It is its very nature that it keeps on producing, it keeps on creating within it. But why we are trying to shift our awareness from the many into the one, into the nothing? Because our awareness is already in the many. Now to find a balance, we have to create an awareness of the source of the substratum as well. That is when we would find balance. And yoga is about balance. Why to always look at the same coin? all the time. We are always looking just at the same side of the coin. Why don't flip it over and look at the other side? Like all of us, we just keep on seeing the same side of the moon. And one actually has to make an effort and go on the other side to see the other side of the moon, which completely evades us. So this is that.
You mean the other side of moon is emptiness?
Emptiness, yes. Yes. Matter itself is simply another state of that formless consciousness. That is the whole understanding of the Upanishadic Vedanta. Matter keeps on changing. The source, consciousness, remains the same. It is that substratum. Okay, let us conclude with a prayer for universal well-being. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi.